Hey everybody, this is Jason from the Landlord Launch. I want to welcome you back. This session we are going to be going over marketing preparation, how to get that rental unit set up in such a way that will attract people to your advertising, attract them enough to get the calls ringing and get this thing into your sales pipeline. So let's jump right in here and get right at it. Again, I like to keep these anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour. So let's see what we have today and see how much we can get squeezed in. Okay, in this section again, we're going to be talking about how to prep that property for the marketing. Like we've talked about, that's going to include headlines, it's going to include the descriptions, it's going to include the photographs, what really, and all the goodies that we add in there. So potentially video tours, another thing I think we get into, maybe it's on the next slide here. Floor plans, all of that fun stuff that's going to capture their attention and make them want to call, make them want to see what is happening, and get in before somebody else rents it. That is the goal. So why is it important to prepare? More than anything, there's other rentals out there. There's other rentals that are similar to yours. There's other landlords who are competing for the same pool of tenants, potential tenants. So you want to be able to pick the best of them, and therefore you want to stand out and you want to attract the best potential tenants that you can. And we do this by making our advertisements and our marketing attractive to those people. Again, it's going to get us more traffic. It's going to set us up with a standard of professionalism. And a professionalism, in my opinion, is extremely important because it affects the way that the relationship that we're going to have with the tenant going through the course of at least a year. And again, one of the reasons I like houses, because a lot of times it's not as intensive as apartment communities when you have to deal with common areas and tenant disputes and things along those lines, shared parking issues, all that. But we do want to have in every interaction to be professional in the good times and the bad times. We want to treat them with respect, but it's almost like dress for success. If you have a crappy ad, then you are not going to attract the type of person that is going to take care of your home, or a lot less of them, because they're going to look at that. And if you don't care about the way that you look, the way that your property looks, why would they care? And for some people, that's just going to turn them off. They're going to go a different direction. And the people that are interested, try it. You'll see the difference. Sometimes we just need to learn the hard way. But if you're here watching this, learning this stuff, just trust me on this one. It'll pay off. And another thing too, on when you take the time to prepare the right way, set your headlines up, get your property description, put nice photos into place, do all of those things, when you can reuse those assets basically. Because a lot of times, if that headline has worked for you once, it's going to work for you the next time. Same with the property description, same with the photos. You don't need to change them up every single time your home comes available for rent. You already have them ready. So that's why I like to spend the time on up front and really dial those in. And when we're looking at traffic analysis, sometimes if I'm not getting any tours and I know my market rent is set right based on everything that I'm seeing, and I determine it's probably more the advertisement, well, there's something either in my headline, there's something going on there that I change, I tweak, I deal with. But when I find one that works, I stick with it, because it'll work time and time again. And it'll work across multiple platforms. It's not the platform. All the platform is doing, and by platform I mean, wherever you're advertising, whether it be Craigslist or Facebook or, any of the Zillows, Turbo Tenants, any of the sites that they syndicate out to, any of those. Those are just platforms. All that's doing is exposing your message to an audience. What these things are doing is capturing that audience. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. If your marketing isn't capturing that audience and converting them on this platform, it's not going to on the others either, because something's off with your message. And by message, I mean the whole package, the description, the headline, the pictures, what you're offering. There's something wrong with it. And so if it doesn't work on Facebook, it's probably not going to work on Zillow. So just kind of keep that in mind. You get to use this same thing once you find something that works. You take it across all platforms, and that's just all that many more inquiries that you're going to generate. So let's talk about the property headline, because that's really one of the first things that we kind of need to look at. And so the property headline is that it's your elevator pitch. You have 10 seconds to tell somebody what you do and get them interested. Usually on these internet marketing sites, what you get is you get one line, your headline, and a picture. So those two things are going to either, one, determine if that person stops and clicks into that ad to get more information, or if they keep scrolling. Now, it's just kind of a double-edged sword to a certain degree, because on some of these sites at least, we don't have a lot of control over the headline. Some of them, it's just, there's a standard format out there, and some of them you don't even really get to tinker with that headline format. It's the headline is literally gonna be what you enter for rent, what you enter for bedroom, baths, and whatever else. I mean, so I think Facebook Marketplace is like this. So if you put in it's 2 bedrooms and it's 2 baths and this is your rent, that's going to be the headline. $1,100, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's it. So in those cases, it doesn't help as much. Now, having said that, a good headline, I think, is still used, though. It's just, unfortunately, you can't use it in that one sentence there. But it is the first thing in your property description, that thing that captures attention, because, again, it's like, with the Facebook example, okay, so this is in my budget, this is how many beds I want, this is how many baths, the picture looks nice. When they click in, the first thing they're going to start reading is that headline, and that's what's going to grab their attention and keep them on your page, get them reading through the property description, and get them to decide whether or not they are going to send you a message, a call, an inquiry of some sort or another. So it's still important, even if it is, unfortunately, not the first thing that's on there. Now, a lot of sites, you still get to use the headline function. I think Craigslist is definitely one of them, and there's some others out there. As you find your favorite marketing places, you'll see what they are. But again, just because the platform kind of limits you there, doesn't mean it's useless, because you still need that to keep them on your ad once they click. Now, again, there's a standard formula out there, and I'm going to show you examples of this. I personally, whenever possible, I like to get a little more creative with it, because everybody uses a standard formula, and a standard formula is basically, price, bedrooms, baths, and in one feature. $1,100, 2 bedroom, 2 bath with spacious master bedroom. That's the pretty standard formula, and that's actually what a lot of these other platforms use kind of as their headlines as well. So here we go. Here's the actual formula, and giving credit where credit is due, I think that this actual formula, I've seen it all over the place, but I think there was an article on Avail which actually lined it out this way. So to throw a little credit there, Avail.co, it's a property marketing platform. So again, the formula is rent price, number of bedrooms, number of baths, and this one is it an apartment, house, or townhome, in what neighborhood, and with what feature. So an example of that is $2,500 2 bedroom, 2 bath home in Higley Park, which would be the neighborhood, with in-unit washer and dryer, which would be your feature. And again, even the property marketing platforms out there that do not force you into a format in your headline, you're going to see a lot of stuff almost exactly like this, because again, this is the standard headline that they use. And some of this derives from the old newspaper days, because in the newspaper days, I know that literally you're charged an amount for a 3-line ad, so you needed to get right to the chase of it, and just it was, does it meet this person's needs or not? And with the newspaper, literally it was, okay, it checks this box, this box, this box, I'm going to call and get everything else. So, it is what it is. That just kind of carried over into platforms that we have a lot more expanded functional capability on, and unfortunately it's kind of stayed the standard. So when possible, I like to get more creative. I call this the creative headline, and really this is just trying to find a way to stand out. And in my experience, creative headlines, when done right, drive far more traffic to you, get that phone ringing much better than just that standard headline. And again, I've seen funny ones. I've seen ones that are very descriptive in terms of pulling out special features of the neighborhood or the property or whatever else. Now be careful. If you haven't taken the fair housing, take the fair housing, but be careful. Don't do anything that would get you in fair housing trouble by any means. But again, I like to be creative and descriptive in my headlines where possible. So I have a cheat sheet on here to kind of give you some overall here, but there's some different ones. I mean, one of them's the call to action headline. Here, I like this example. Congratulations, you have found the perfect home. And then it kind of reverts back into that standard headline pricing, but it reaches out and grabs somebody real quick. You found the perfect home. I have. What's my perfect home? And then gets them reading the rest of that ad. Or are you looking for the perfect 2-bedroom? Yeah, actually I am. Now you found it. Click here to learn more. There's a call to action there. And that's kind of some examples of the call to action headline. There's a lot of them out there, different ideas and a lot of different ways to do this. But the point is to capture their attention and then ask them to do something. Like on the first one, it's simple as call you today, let me just reread that. Congratulations, you found the perfect home. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $1,500. Call today before they beat you to it. And that's creating that urgency, trying to say, listen, if other people are calling here, you need to call today and get over here and see this thing before I rent it to somebody else. And that's what it's trying to do. Call today is creating urgency. It's a call to action. And again, it's better, in my opinion, than the standard headline formula. The USP headline, and again, this is going to be using language that is trying to capture the interest of a target market that you're interested in. Now, again, you have to be careful about fair housing and discriminatory advertising, okay? I am not saying that you should use anything that discriminates against a protected class. I am saying is that everybody has a target market, and that doesn't mean that you are inherently a person that discriminates. But let's just say that your home is across the street from a popular college. Obviously, your target market is students. You're not looking necessarily for the nuclear family or whatever. Now, if a nuclear family applies, they can apply. You're not discriminating, but you are interested in advertising and making sure that people know that this is next to a university because you want students in your property. That's why you bought it, if that's the case. So it's using that language. Maybe it is a good example here is that it's in a good school district and you want people who are interested in living in that good school district and education, because in your mind you think people are interested in a good education are going to be more responsible, are going to take care of your home more, or whatever the case. So great example. Great 4-bedroom 3-bath home near Riverview High School. If Riverview High School or that school district is a great school district, throw it out there. I mean, because that's going after a specific target market. You want people that want to live in that school district. You're also giving the bedrooms and baths, not necessarily because it's a standard headline. Yes, that's important, but you want to show that it is large enough for a family. Now, if it's somebody who doesn't have a family and they came and applied or whatever else, you would screen them, you would rent to them, you would welcome them just as fine. But in this case, this marketing is really geared towards somebody who's looking to be in this school district, is looking for a larger home because they have a family, and so it's, again, using that language to bring it in. If you're pet friendly and you're next to an awesome dog park, throw it out there. Once again, if they don't have animals, you'll still take an application, you'll still screen to them. But if you're okay with pets and you understand, because look, pets is a whole nother subject, but if you don't accept pets, this is your target market. If you do accept pets, this is your target market. You're opening it up more. So if you're pet friendly and you like that and you're okay with that, and you have an awesome dog park next to you, throw the dog park out there, because you're going to do this to your target market, which means you're going to get more calls, and you are going to rent your home quicker, and you are going to minimize your vacancy loss, and you're going to make more money. So there's some examples of kind of that USP, the unique selling proposition headline that we can use. Another thing I like to do, and sometimes I just like it because it's entertaining, is just kind of brainstorm, and I'll go out and I'll just look up, I'll literally go to Google and I'll just type headline formulas or whatever. And there's hundreds and thousands of them out there, and a lot of them make no sense for what we're doing with properties, but some of them do. Some of them could be kind of entertaining if you can figure out the way you do it. And I'll try to pull those in. So I call these non-industry headlines. Let's see here. If you don't blink now, you'll hate yourself later. If you don't come look at my home now, you'll hate yourself later. If you were going through all these $2,500 two-bedroom, $1,000 3-bedroom, blah, 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 and just going down the list, and all of a sudden you saw this, if you don't come look at my beautiful home and such, you are going to hate yourself later. That is going to capture your attention. Even if it just makes you stop for a moment, that is the goal of the headline. That, combined with this awesome shot of the front of your home or whatever else, 9 times out of 10, they're going to at least click on that. They are going to dig in. Is this something that maybe I'm interested in? Is this going to fit my needs? And if it doesn't fit their needs, if you have this awesome 1-bedroom condo overlooking a city nightlife, and they have a full family, no, I mean, they're gonna click on it, yeah, it's too small for me, they're gonna move on. That's not your target market anyway. But it's just a fun way, a clever way of capturing attention that I don't personally think a lot of people are using, especially on the the single family landlords out there that are marketing. Now, apartment communities, property management companies, they're really good about marketing. They also have great resources to pay other people who that's all they do is market, because competition is stiff within that industry. And so they really have this stuff down and are very good at it. And some of this stuff are examples of some of the things that they may try to do with their marketing budget. But we don't have the budget. We don't have the ability to pay, apartments.com, these $500 a month marketing packages, nor why would we? I mean, we don't have 20 apartments we're trying to lease with 3 apartment communities right next door to us all doing the same thing. But it doesn't mean you can't use some of these tactics to help yourself stand apart, because even if that means you can capture somebody's attention. Here's one. Imagine living at this Higley Park condo and loving every minute of it. And I'm like, well, I'm looking at Higley Park. If you can get that rented even a week sooner, that's just more money in your pocket. I mean, what's their typical vacancy loss? $30 to $50 a day, depending on what your monthly rent is. That's $200, $300, $400, depending on what your rent is, extra in your pocket for that year. Over the course of 10 years, that's a lot of money. So these things do add up. And again, that's why I look at that. What can I make in a year as well when I am deciding if I should adjust those market rents? But start here. put together an awesome headline, play around with it. If it's not giving you any calls and you know your market rent's dialed in, well, change it up. But once you find one that works, that thing is going to just produce for you. Trust me, it's going to be awesome. All right, so let's move on from the property headline to the next component of this. So if the property headline catches the attention, the property description keeps it. It gets them the information they need, and there's a fine balance here because you want to give them enough information to show that this is a good fit for them and to generate a call, generate an inquiry. You want to get them to the point to where, okay, I've seen enough. I understand this. I think this may be a good fit for me. I want to schedule a tour. And that's kind of what the property description does. So it's giving information about the property. It's painting that picture of the features. You're using descriptive language. You're telling them about the home. It's not just 2-bedroom, 3-bath in Higley Park. It's beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath bungalow with 2-car garage, well manicured lawn next to community pool with oversized garage, water softening system included, with beautiful sunsets overlooking whatever else. It's selling them on the idea and saying, yeah, that I would love that. I want to see this place. I want to make that call. I need to get there. I need to rent this place before somebody else does. When can I see this place? I mean, and that's really the reaction you're wanting out of it. You're doing your job if they get this and they want to get over and see your place. It's not doing the job if you end up on a list of 10 places that they're like, okay, yeah, that'll work. Let's call them. No, you want to be the person there like, this is it. I have to see this place. I think this could be a good fit. Sunsets are attractive. I love water softening systems. I need the over garage. I don't want to maintain a pool, but if it's next door, that's awesome. I don't have to even deal with it. I can step into it and no big deal. It's those things that are going to pull those people in. And I like the property descriptions in the power that they have because, again, like we were talking about with the old newspaper ads, you had 3 lines to get your point across. You couldn't get into it. Yard signs are another thing. I mean, those are very effective in their own right, but do they paint a picture? No, they are letting somebody know that this house is available, and they're very effective for people that want to live in that neighborhood, people that live in that neighborhood that want family or friends driving by and seeing that. I mean, it definitely has its place, and they are powerful, and it should be absolutely a part of your marketing strategy. But the property description, they don't help with the property description. They don't do the same thing. So the property description is very powerful in what it can do for you. So there's some things that we include in the property description. Of course, we do want to build in the rent and the bedrooms and the baths, to really kind of zero in, because you do want to say, okay, listen, if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, that's not going to work for a family that has 5 kids. I mean, it just isn't enough room. And so you don't want to be taking phone calls all day long from people that would never be able to qualify in the first place. So it does have that component of, it's kind of pre-qualifying to a certain extent. Another thing we want to make sure that's in that property description, like we talked about, is what is it that makes this property special? Pull it out. Is it the school district? Is it an awesome school district? Tell me about the neighborhood. Tell me about the community pool. Tell me about, the trails. Tell me about the access to the highways. Tell me about the awesome nightlife that's around. Whatever that may be, whatever you think your target market's interests are, throw those interests in there so you can track the type of people that you are trying to attract. Now, having said that, be careful with the fluff or generic language, because even though it is a property description, we do only have limited real estate, for lack of better words, and people do not want to read a 3-page book. So why we want to be descriptive, why we want to get those features in there, we don't want to overdo it with all kinds of just needless fluff. Like this very special, incredible, amazing blue community pool with, a water fountain around the, you can overdo this, and that's what I mean by fluff. And then getting too generic too, I mean, that's something. Again, use your property description real estate wisely. You want to get the most impactful information in there in such a way that makes them want to generate a call before they start getting bored with the book. And you want to get it to them, fairly quick. Paragraph, maybe a paragraph and a half. You don't want this to be long and drawn out. You want to generate a call. And then I always like to think about this in terms of trying to place that renter in the home. And let's think of student housing for a moment. What is attractive to a student? If you're going after students, what is attractive to a student? Okay, parking, being close to the school so they can walk, being close to a nightlife and restaurants, potentially places they could work, being close to whatever it is that you come up with. Just write a list down. What is it that would be attractive to a student? Those are the things that you want to do, and you want to then take those and place that student in your home. With the student housing, of course, it's going to be those things that are going to be near. It's not as important. But so let's switch gears here, and let's say a family. We'll use a family. What's important to a family? Well, space, having room, having extra storage, an open concept, a beautiful large kitchen, a fenced-in backyard with plenty of plenty of space to run around. If you're pet friendly, huge fenced-in backyard for Fido to run around in, or whatever it may be. But the point is to grab them and give them descriptive language to where they can see themselves potentially living there, so they can say, I have to see this place and see if it is actually, in fact, something that's going to work for me. So place them in your home. We do that in a property tour as well, by the way, which we'll get to. Okay, so some of the things not to include in the property description. Again, we've talked about this discriminatory language, no children allowed, across the street from the synagogue, men only, anything that would be exclusive and against a protective class. Here's an example of an ad, a real ad. Unfortunately, this stuff still happens, and this is where, if you haven't taken the fair housing course section of this course, go take the fair housing, because like I said, the fair housing touches on every component of the property management cycle and really prepares us for what we should and should not be doing. But this is a very blatant ad. Most people are not, even if you feel this way, most people aren't reckless enough, for lack of better words. I have some better words, actually. I'm just not going to say them. They're not reckless enough to put an ad like this out there, even if they feel this way. But having said that, you can fall into this trap. And when this happens, guess what? It's going to get screenshotted. A complaint's going to go in. You are going to be investigated by HUD for discriminatory advertising. And if this is your ad, you lose. You are getting penalized, and somebody may actually sue you if they've gone a little further and showed up. Let's say this is your ad, and a Spanish family says, you know what, I'm going to go test this out. And then you see a Spanish family, and you say, no, I said in my ad very clearly, no black or Spanish people in my home. I'm not even going to show it to you. Yeah, you're losing that one. You're going to be paying out a lot of money in punitive damages and fines to HUD. Again, that's a very blatant case, but some of the more passive stuff, it may be one like across the street from a synagogue, and maybe you're not even intending to be discriminatory there. You are just trying to point out, in your descriptive language that, hey, there's this beautiful synagogue right across the street, and I want people to know about it. And maybe you are interested in attracting people of that particular faith. But what you got to remember is if in a process of doing that you are potentially excluding, or could be perceived as excluding people of another faith, you are now in the zone of discrimination in advertising, and that is not where you want to be at. So watch out for your property descriptions, watch out for your headlines. Do not use language that is exclusive against people of a protected class. Now, having said that, there are things out there that are not a protected class that you can be exclusive as you want, if you want to be. Wouldn't recommend it. You want your market as much as possible. But let's just use, a good example of this, which is perfectly fine. Let's just use pets. Now, there are certain cities, there are certain cities that you can no longer say no pets because it is a protective class, or animals, and is a protective class. And I'm not talking about like your ESAs and assistants. I'm talking any animal. There are certain places out there that determine that if you say no animals, animals are protected class. If you say no animals, then you are discriminating, and you'll have your deal. But in most places, that's not the case. So it is perfectly fine to say on here, $750 beautiful house, for rent, 4-bed, 2-bath, no pets allowed. That is a perfectly acceptable form of discrimination against people with animals, because you do not want animals in your house. It's not a protected class, perfectly legal, and that is beneficial in my opinion, because now you're not going to be dealing with that. Well, you'll probably still get some calls because people try to test it anyway, but theoretically you shouldn't be getting 100 calls that day saying, hey, do you accept this type of dog? Hey, we make an exception for this cat. No animals, sorry, just not interested in them. So that is a form of discrimination that you can do, that is legal, it's perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it, assuming it's not a protected class. For these purposes, don't discriminate in your marketing. So believe it or not, there is formulas for this. I think I snagged this off of Veil too, trying to give credit where credit is due. Now this looks very jumbled up, but again, I kind of liked the idea there's a formula, because if nothing else, the stuff that's in bold is where you kind of plug in the information. And then I like formulas, I like templates, I like formats, I like standardized forms, because I can take it, I can plug my stuff in, and then I can start tinkering it and altering it and adjusting it. And I'm not the only one who does that. Attorneys do that all the time. They have boilerplate documents and forms that they start with and move on from there. It saves people from starting from scratch. So this is a great potential property description formula that you can use that'll keep you from starting from scratch. You can plug your information in here, and then you can see how you like it, and you can move things around. You can get creative where you want to get creative, or you can just run with it and see what happens. And if it works, then it works. Use it. Nothing wrong with that at all either. Some templates are just good templates. This is an example of that template, and I have this as a cheat sheet as well. Again, where credit's due, I think I stole this from avail.co, so go check out. They got a lot of cool resources, but for you to make this easy to get back to later on if you want to use this, I have a cheat sheet that I put together here for you. Yeah, it is avail.co. I put it right on the cheat sheet there for you. But here's an example. Great for entertaining, spacious, updated 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in Lakeview, available May 1st. And then I continue on with it. And it's taking that rental property description magic formula and plugging in the information. And if you are good with that description, if you want to run with that while and see if that generates results, then do it. And I like this because, one, what does it do? When we go back and look at, we're talking about what a property description should include. We want the rents, beds, baths in there. We want to list what makes that property special. We want to do it in such a way that's specific and doesn't add a lot of unnecessary fluff. And we are placing the renter in that home. This building is pet friendly with heat included. Close to nightlife with private backyard. I mean, you're taking that person and saying, hey, listen, do you like the nightlife? You have all that, but you're also saying that, listen, if you are kind of noise adverse and you don't like that type of scene, this isn't a good place for you. So it's really drilling in on the target market and making people aware of what is happening with this home. And if it's not a good fit, you don't want to waste their time or your time with it. So I like this. It's a great format to start in. Use it, try it, see what you think. and move forward. Download the property description guide cheat sheet if you want to reference this later as you are putting together your property descriptions. Okay, property photographs. How are we doing on time here? Okay, we're still good. Property photographs. So property photographs, people are visual. They definitely like the descriptions and the headlines need to grab the attention, but if you have a horrible set of pictures on there, it's just gonna ruin all the hard work you put on your headline and your property description. So we need to make sure to get good property pictures. And I'm not talking about the wide lens professional real estate pictures that you have to pay hundreds of dollars for. If you want to do that, that's great. I mean, you can reuse those things over and over and over again. It's just, in my experience, it is absolutely not necessary. To be quite honest with you though, I have I purchased a home for a rental that was staged, and it had amazing real estate pictures that the real estate agent went out and had taken and everything else. And I literally just right clicked it and saved those pictures, and I use those on my advertisements. I mean, it looks nice, it's very attractive, it's far better than I could have ever done for myself. So steal it. I mean, why try to reinvent the wheel, especially if it's already done? There's nothing wrong with that at all, at least not in my opinion. I don't think there's any copyright or right to those pictures at all. And if a real estate agent were to ever give you grief, they never would, first off. But the point being is that you could already have a really nice set of pictures without actually having to do anything. But generally speaking, 5 to 10 good photographs is really what I look for. And I take a lot more than that when I do take pictures, because I want 3, 4, 5 shots, different lightings of every angle of every room, of every corner of the house, of every piece of the yard that I can find. That way I can pick out those 5 to 10 15 good photographs that I can use in my marketing. A good smartphone is perfectly fine. The cameras on these things today are far better than most cameras were even 2-3 years ago. So there's nothing wrong with smartphone photographs. It's what I use. It's gonna be perfectly fine for what we're doing here. Like I was talking about, get a lot of photos. I mean, I literally go to every corner of the room. I'll open the blinds. I'll mess with different lighting. I'll turn flash on. I'll turn flash off. I hit 3, 4, 5 shots from every corner, every feature I can think of. It's nothing for me to have 60, 70, 80, 100 photos that when I get back, I just open those things up, and then as I see a good photo, I'll just drag and drop it into the folder I want, and everything else just gets deleted. But what it does is it allows me to have a lot of options to choose from. And when you take that many photos or that many different variances, there's bound to be enough photos in there for you to utilize. Generally speaking, occupied homes photograph better if they're in good shape. Now, of course, if things are all over the place, mess, dishes hanging out, you don't want any of that stuff. But ones that are in, what it does is it shows how furniture kind of fits in a room and gives a person the sense of the actual size. Because sometimes you can take these photographs and these rooms and stuff, and you can't tell how big the room or how small the room actually is. So it goes back to that point of placing that tenant in the home, that applicant in the home. Will my furniture fit that? Will it not? Because the thing is, if they eliminate themselves at the picture and say, my couch is way too big for that, there's no way that's going to work, and I'm not getting rid of my couch. Okay, great. That saves you the call. That saves you from having to go meet them at the property and tour that place and all that time lost. Just have them walk away because the couch they can't part with isn't going to fit. So, that can work to your favor as well. And of course, if you have the opportunity, stage the property. You can do little mini models. I mean, you don't have to do a full-blown stage where you bring furniture and everything else, but, you can put a little in the kitchen. You can put some decorations up in the bathroom. You can hang some things up and just make a nice little section of it, a little area nice, and then showcase that as kind of like a mini model is what they call those. So all ways to enhance the attractiveness of your photos that you are taking for your property. So again, why are they important? Because renters want to know. I mean, you want to give them enough information that will generate a call, but when a renter is looking at it, they want to know as much as they can before scheduling a tour, and I think that's to your advantage. You don't want to give them everything, but you want to give them the stuff that may eliminate them and save you from wasting your time with a property tour that that was never going to work for them in the first place, just like we were talking about with the couch. Now, statistically speaking, properties with listings, with photos in their listings, get more views. And then the ones with good photos get even more views, get more inquiries, and rent faster. Common sense, logic. Got crappy photos and people look at it and they're like, I don't want that, and they move on. Maybe some will be interested, like, oh, I can see through that. Oh, I can make this my own. That group of people that are willing to accept that, one, may not be the type of person you want in your home in the first place, but that market is going to be a lot smaller than, if you have nice photos to where a lot of people are like, yeah, that looks really nice, I could see myself in there. That expands that market that you are trying to capture, which means more inquiries, which means more tours, which means more potential applications. And it helps reinforce that descriptive language that we put together. I know for me, I'm like this with music. A lot of times I like watching music on YouTube, especially new music, because there's something about when I'm watching a video, especially if it's a clever video along with the music, it sticks with me far more than just listening to a song. I'll listen to a song, but my favorite songs are the ones I run across like on YouTube, and the video and the music together blew me away. Those are the ones I listen to the most, because for whatever reasons, when I listen to that, it kind of, I reimagine that video and that connection I made that way. It's the same thing with pictures. I mean, it's one thing to have descriptive language. I mean, think about your newspaper. You got your 3-4 line ads, and then with nothing to go behind it. Or you have your internet ad, which has the description and the headline and these beautiful pictures and all these different ways to contact the landlord. Which one do you think is going to be more effective? So it reinforces the language that and the headlines and everything that we've done to try to attract that tenant already in the first place. So you can have an amazing headline, which will make them click that ad, and you can have an amazing description, and maybe they'll want to see it, but a lot more people will want to see it if they get to see those 10 to 15 awesome photos that you've taken as well. Okay, a few things to consider when taking photos. We talked about lighting. Again, I like to switch the lighting up, open blinds, shut blinds, flash, no flash. Generally speaking, the more lighting, the better, but it can be too much. It can bleed it out too much. Too dark will do that as well. So it's about really getting enough shots of the various different types of lighting so that you can find the right pictures. Because, depending on when you're taking them, morning, afternoon, evening, those things can all change as well. Make sure that the blinds look nice. They're not beat up. They're not bent. Toilet seats are down. Any eyesores are removed. Trash picked up. You don't want to put pictures in with stains on the carpet, things along those lines. Get every room, get them from every angle, get multiple shots, get them high, get a little bit of the ceiling, get as much as you possibly can. Sometimes those rooms and bathrooms are difficult because they're so small, but take them from different angles, a little bit higher and down, things along those lines, and get some different shots so that you have a good variety to choose from. Photograph any special features, whether it's a cool fireplace, whether it's hot tub, sauna, pool, anything that is going to attract, a nice garden area, any of those things. If it's staged, get good shots of the furniture. Mini models, make sure to get a lot of different shots of that so that you can kind of like bring out and highlight some of the features of that home and attract people to take that next step, which is to call you. Again, what shots to capture? Matter of fact, this is the home right here that I told you about, where I snagged the real estate agent's photos. So I personally really like the way that these photos lined out, and they seem to do the trick, because when this home goes up, I get a lot of calls on it. But generally speaking, when I'm taking my own pictures, capture images from every corner of the room. We just talked about this. Try to get two walls in, a little bit of the ceiling, so you can get the most kind of like frame and depth, and because if you just get a flat wall, it really takes away from the picture. So you're trying to get as much 3D visual in that picture as possible. So that's why I like 2 walls, a corner, a little bit of the ceiling whenever I can. The different lightings. I do have a property marketing photo checklist that you could utilize if you want to do it for the first time. Once you go through 1 or 2 of these, it usually becomes second nature. It's not that big of a deal, but I do have a little checklist on here that'll be in the resource section that you can use to go down, make sure you're capturing everything on your first time or 2 through as you kind of get used to this, especially if you're new to the industry. But as you can see with these pictures here, the master bedroom there, you know, a little bit of ceiling, both walls. You know, this one was staged nicely. It captures that bathroom. It captures how big the room really is, because I think that's a queen size bed, but queen or king, either way, that's a good size room, and you can tell it's a good size room. The kitchen, it showed really nice. The pictures are really nice. You got the stainless steel and the darker cabinets, which makes this thing pop. The living room, I liked the way that they had this staged with the couch and the nice rug and everything kind of color coordinated. The colors are warm and inviting and cozy, and maybe this isn't the style for everybody, but at the very least they can start to take a look at what's in there and be like, yeah, my couch, my stuff would absolutely fit in that area. You know, I have this great rug I can place there. Again, it's starting to make them think about, oh, what would I do there? Would that dresser work for me? No, not really. I don't like that color, but that's a good size dresser, which means my dresser will absolutely fit there. Things along those lines. So great example of theft from a real estate agent. But great pictures. I really like this little house. Floor plans. Okay, so floor plans, I like adding floor plans. And again, this is just like a little extra visual candy for the people that are looking at it. It makes it stand out because a lot of people don't use floor plans, especially with the single family homes. They do with apartment communities, and I am a big believer of taking stuff that works and applying it to yourself. And a lot of single family homeowners, they just don't do this. Look at the ads, they're not in there. But it will absolutely make a difference because people will get a sense of the layout. They'll be able to get it if you have your dimensions on the floor plans, and some do, some don't, but they'll get a sense of the size of the rooms and if that'll work. So it really allows them to start in their head placing themselves in a home, and it's just one more tool to get them in there. Now, Again, like we were talking about earlier too, once these are set up, you can use it over and over and over again. Now, you can go out and you can find the softwares and you can create these. Personally, I don't have enough instances of rental properties. To do this. I did with the management company. It made sense for me to have access to software to create the floor plans there. But as a single individual landlord that maybe has 1 or 2, 3 homes, once you do your 1, 2, or 3 floor plans, you're not going to have to worry about that again. You can reuse those over and over again. So what I personally like to do is go to Fiverr, Upwork, one of those deals. Pay somebody. They're anywhere from 10, 15, 20, 25, $50. Even pay $50 for an awesome set of floor plans. That's going to just pay dividends over and over and over again. Your ad is going to stand out. It is going to be different. And with the 2, 3, 4, 10 ads that somebody looks at, you have awesome pictures, a great description, great headline, these great floor plans, maybe a video tour, which we'll talk about here in a minute. That's going to stand out. You are going to get a call, or it's going to eliminate that person potentially because there's something on there that was never going to work for them, which means it's going to save you time. Here's some examples of the floor plans. They have the 2D floor plans, they have the 3D floor plans, which are really cool. Here are some softwares. There's a cheat sheet download resource here that you can download and visit some of these websites if you want to. But again, if I'm a single family homeowner, really what I'm doing is I'm going to Fiverr or Upwork and I'm paying a little bit of money and I'm just having somebody else do it for me. It works. And it's not that expensive. And if you can get your home leased a few days quicker, a week quicker, if you can get 20% more inquiries or tours on your home, which leads to more applications, in my opinion, that is worth it. It'll pay for itself. Okay, coming up on the end of this, let's do a quick section recap here. So what we kind of covered here was all of those things that are really going to help pull in traffic on your ads, your marketing. Now there's some other marketing we're getting into in other sections, more of the traditional, your signs and stuff like that. But for the internet based type marketing here, we talked about our property headlines, capturing the attention of somebody, finding different ways to get somebody to perk up at your ad and click in and find out more. That property description, which is painting that picture, placing them in their home, giving them information they need to hopefully entice them to either one, say, no, this is not a good fit for me, or this is maybe an absolutely awesome fit for me. I want to call, I want to get in there today, and creating that urgency. Property photos, putting that visual back up to your descriptions and helping those renters connect with the property. And of course the floor plans, which is some extra eye candy for them to really kind of dig in and again put themselves in the home. Will this room work for my beds, for my dressers? How big are these rooms? 15 by 15, that's a great size room, that's awesome. Or 10 by 10, yeah, no, that'll work. Whatever that is, it helps them process that information to hopefully have them pick up that phone, shoot you an email, shoot you a message, whatever that means is going to be. Okay, we are at about 50 minutes here, so we are going to wrap it up for today's session with that. Now, the next one we're going to talk about, when we come back here for our next session, we're going to be talking about move-in specials and how we can use those to create that urgency, to evaluate whether they're necessary, whether they'd be helpful, whether they're financially worth it. And again, just one more tool to help get your home rented faster. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure to join us with our weekly Q&A, live Q&A session. And again, it doesn't matter what section you're in or whatever. Join us in that live Q&A. This is where we get into it and work through your individual situations that you're dealing with. That's why we have those in place. So again, thank you. Appreciate you. We will see you next time.